So, we're going to look at solving equations today. We're going to do 1 and 2 steppers. Okay? So, on your notes, the first one you have is m plus 12 equals 10. And the whole goal of algebra when we're solving for a variable, you might hear me say isolate the variable, right? What does the word isolate mean in the English language? To get it by itself, right? So, if I say isolate the variable and you say, what does that mean? I would say, sticking Spencer in the closet, right? He's all by himself. So, I'm trying to get M alone. Who's cramping M's style?
Wait, SSIC?
12. How do I get rid of plus 12?
Minus the box.
Minus 12. Because 12 minus 12 is 0. And the identity property of addition says anything plus 0 is itself. Ooh, you didn't think you could get identity property today, did you?
No idea what.
So, 10 minus 12 is?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. Now, I'm not suggesting you do this every time on homework. You can kind of do it quick mental. But if you're taking a test, another way to say this is M is negative 2. So what does that mean M is?
Negative 2.
And negative 2 plus 12 is 10. So my equation's true. Your equation needs to be true. Maybe, I don't know if you got this, but you should be writing this down on your notes as I'm doing it right now. All right, yeah.
Couldn't you just be like, oh yeah, couldn't you say, you see the 12, and then you know it has to get...
Down to the 10.
Yeah, down to, I just figured out that it was negative 2.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a really good thing you brought up. So first, face value, because kids always care about grades. This is worth 1 point. This is worth 1 point. And this is worth a half point. So sure, write M equals negative 2 and get 1.5 out of 2.5 points. Sure. And here's the reason I do that. Because later we're going to do something that looks like this, man. And you're going to use the same principles I'm teaching on the one step to solve this multi-step, okay? Trust the process. So, number 2, I got negative 2 equals G minus 9. So, if I'm trying to get G alone, like Spencer, remember Spencer, how do I get rid of minus 9? I add 9. Now, G, from our little story, G is poop pig. I'm trying to figure out what it is. The only reason we don't have to decide what box to take care of first is poop pigs is in one box currently. So I take off that box, plus 9, and G equals 7. Now, what do you notice about when I rewrote my equation there? This isn't a requirement. This is just better. Okay? But what did you notice, Lucian?
G is...
Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever heard me say this before, because we've only finished about our 3rd week of school, but math is communication. Have I ever said that before?
Yeah.
So the whole point of solving an equation is to figure out what G is. And it makes sense if we read left to right, like most of us do. G equals 7, or G is 7. Makes sense communication-wise, right? Now, it's true. 7 is G. That's 7 is G. Is that how you spell G? Okay. 7 is G is true. But this is better, because if math is communication, the whole point is what is G? G is 7, right? Cool? So that's why it's better. Okay, who has some advice for me? How do I get Y alone? Callan?
Divide by a negative 7.
Yeah, so that's important that it's a negative 7. If I were to divide by 7, what happens to the negative with the Y? It still says negative, right? I need this to be... I'm not interested in what negative Y is. I want positive Y. So Y is 13. And then is negative 7 times 13 negative 91? Check. Money. Boom. We did it. Okay? These next ones are fractions. Let's jump down to number 7. Negative 6/5 K equals 12. So here's the deal. What operation is happening? What operation am I trying to undo here? I'm trying to undo multiplication. How do you undo multiplication? However, how do you divide by a fraction? You multiply by the reciprocal. Yeah, I know what you meant, Lauren, but opposite of negative 6/5 would be positive 6/5. So I think you meant the right thing. So multiply by the reciprocal would be negative 5/6. The technical definition of a reciprocal is what can you multiply a number by to equal 1? And the reason we want this to become a 1 is what's 1 times k?
K.
Okay, there's that identity property again. So times 5, 6. These cancel. I'm going to cross simplify, get a 1 and a 2 for an answer of negative 10. K is negative 10. Cool, cool? All right. I want you to finish up that top section of one-steppers on your own. So here's where Poop Pig comes into play. We can't just get either one of these. X is Poop Pig. He's in these boxes. We need to unbox in a specific order. It's the reverse order of operations. So if I'm looking at multiplication or addition, if I'm doing reverse, what has to happen first?
Subtraction.
Yeah, I have to subtract that 8 first, right? Have to. I should rephrase that. You don't have to. It'd be really ugly if you didn't. So I'll show you what that looks like. So 50 minus 8 is 42. Now it's just a one-stepper. Only one box left. X equals 7. So is 42 plus 8 50? Yes. Now check out. Let's say you divide it by 6 first. Watch how ugly this is, dude. That. But you also... That cancels. But you also have to divide 8 by 6. That's not even going to work. See what I'm saying? Not even going to work, guys.
You can't.
Can't do it. Poop Pig only comes out one way, guys. It's the reverse order. All right. Next. 2n minus 5 equals 11. So if I'm doing reverse order of operations, multiply or to subtract, what do I get rid of first?
The 5.
Yep. So I undo minus 5 by adding 5. And 2n is 16, which means the n is 8. We're just undoing things. Is 16 minus 5 11? I'm checking it. You guys see what I'm doing? I'm throwing that up in there. Yeah. So this one's not on your notes. I'm going to give you the most missed question. You ready? You guys ready for this? What would be the first thing to do? First thing to do. Jack, what would be the first thing you do here?
You add 6.
Yeah. What do you think is the most common thing that kids say to do first that's wrong? Not divide. Subtract. Because some kids hone in on this. That just means the 4 is positive. Right? So just be mindful. That means we need to get rid of, that. So 4x is 18. Callan, I want you to watch this. Look at my answer. Did I have to make it a decimal?
No.
Just keep it simplified fraction. Dunzo. Nailed it.
Should you make it a proper fraction?
You don't have to, but you could. A lot of times on keys you'll see me write or, meaning I take either one. Sometimes if it's like, for example, we're going to be doing slope later.
Yeah.
Slope is great as an improper fraction. But sometimes to understand what something means, the mixed number is easier to understand. So it depends. Look at that number 17 from your notes. I've got multiplication and a negative 10. Which one's got to go first? Has to. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. And I get 7/4 p equals 48. Now it's just a one-stepper like we already looked like. What's nice about this is everything's just one step at a time. Yeah, you have a question?
It was a negative. It was negative 38.
So 20 is.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That never happened. I just want to prove a point. Write your stuff down right. Okay? So, multiply both sides by 4/7. I'm going to cross simplify to get a negative 16. Any one thing isn't too crazy, right? I'm just doing one step at a time. It's just one step, right? So don't feel like you have to see exactly everything that's going to happen. Just focus. What's the first box? Right? We're trying to get Poop Pig out so we can squeeze him. You know, it'd be real gross if it was like candy in there, like brown candy.
Chocolate? Just squeeze in
It'd be really gross if it was liquor. Okay. Anyway, I initially was just thinking like a brown M&M that doesn't have an M on it or something. All right, number 20. So, number 20, I have subtraction and division. What should we undo first? Ooh. Here's the dealio. We need to undo the division first. Who can tell me why? Bill. So the n minus 5, what would that be in the order of operations?
It's a grouping.
Yeah, grouping. So that has to happen last, right? There's no parentheses around it, but it's just like there are. So I actually have to undo the division before the subtraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides by -2, which cancels that -2 in my denominator. That gives me n minus 5 is 14. Notice I use is and equals interchangeably. That's because you can. That's intentional. I'm going to add 5 to get n equals 19. So let's check our answers. If you have a quiz, you can check every answer. What's 19 minus 5?
14.
What's 14 divided by -2?
7.
-7. It's true, so must be the right thing. Cool, cool.